Hello everyone, so today I will be getting into Medieval Dynasty, and as you can see it's version 2.5.0.2, and so I ended up actually getting the Medieval Dynasty Ultimate Edition, and so that way I'll be able to showcase the different DLC hairstyles as well as the facial hair that are available for each gender, as well as now there is also the newer Oxbow map, and there you can actually choose whether you want to play a male or female character, as well as having a male or female heir. Whereas, as we can see when we hit new game here, you'll have the original The Valley, and you will follow the story of Rachmir and his male descendants. So single player only, there's no co-op. And if you go to the Oxbow map, it's between 1 to 4 players in a kind of collaborative, cooperative co-op mode. And this is actually where we start here. It's actually the village of Piastovia. And it'll pretty much serve as the central hub for tax paying, as well as on the notice board you'll also have seasonal tasks. And so if we go and do that, I would be playing solo. And one thing of note is that when you hit solo, your solo gameplay can be turned into a co-op session without losing your progress if you wish to invite friends to play together. If you start with co-op, it's instantly multiplayer mode up to 4 players. The session code that you use will allow you to invite your friends, and it will be visible in the next step and in the game menu, and I suppose that would be friends on your Steam list in this case, as I am playing this on Steam. And let's see, so let's customize the game actually. So I will start with the default settings, and just to give myself a little bit more time, I will go to 7, and that's actually fine no matter how long you set it. You just have to have at least the minimum length of days, and I think it takes at least 2 days minimum into a season, like at least 2 or 3, to be able to progress to the next season if you want to have the new quests to generate, as well as when you want to gift whoever you want to be your partner, you can only do so once per person per season. And then same with the farming. When you want to grow something, you'll have to wait certain seasons to actually harvest them. So I think you could actually plant them ahead of time, and then it takes seasons ahead to actually germinate and grow, and then you harvest accordingly. And yeah, so I had actually played this for a little over 18 hours prior to this recording, and I did actually do footage on camera, but I think I will end up actually starting over just so I can actually speed up the process from day one. And so I will be keeping all of the other default settings aside from the length of the season here. And I don't want lack of anything for that matter. And let's see here. I think I will just be doing fast crafting and fast building just because it'll actually save a lot of time, and they still have a timer of their own. But the good thing is for fast crafting, I don't know if when it's toggled off, I'm not sure if it would, like when cooking, for example, and you have to cook multiple amounts of a food, I don't know if it would be doing it one by one every single time with the same timer. But at least with fast crafting, you will see when you go to make a, like let's say roasted meat, you could make 30, you could cook 30 roasted meat, for example, and the whole stack will be done in 3 seconds instead of having to do each one individually for however long it would take. And then everything else here is pretty good, and I do want to keep drop items spoiling, and I will keep that going. So now I will go and hit start game, and I believe the opening sequence will be right here, so I'll be right back afterwards.
A moment, sir. The horses will need to rest soon.
There are more trees around than I'd like. But the dusk is near. Let's make camp.
Yes, sir. Hold! We are not going to stay!
Round them up. The biggest profits the guild ever made. They must be filthy rich.
Or, stupid.
And rather desperate.
They giggle like children while we freeze. I can barely feel my...
Looks like you fell out of your cage, little birdie. Oh, is your wing broken? Poor little thing. I hope it doesn't hurt. Try not to die, birdie. You got a message to Trip. Take half of the wares, torch the rest. I might have a buyer for them. Let him see my offer. Burnt in the sky.
And here we are back to the character customization screen. So here we have some presets. So we have a guy here, and he just kind of reminds me of a very Henry looking kind of character. And then we have what could be like, you know, maybe it looks like her sister, like his sister. And then you got some others. It could be like, you know, your settlers in your village. They look like they could be siblings as well, or just like a male or female variant of each other. And I will be showing the male and female character customization. To go here is just gender. You can do male, female, and back. The complexion, which will be pretty much like skin complexion. Voice type.
Good job.
Thank you.
I need some food.
Go to female, they also have different voice types.
Good job. Will you marry me? Follow me.
And then we have the different faces for the face, eyes, nose, mouth, ears. Then the different eyes. You can kind of see the nose. Back to the mouth. And ears. And then in the back. And then for the eye color, it'll be the same for both genders. So you'll have this color here. You can choose whether they're just heterochromia. In which case you can also do secondary color if you desire. They can actually have different colored eyes here. And then molds, you have the default, where it's also like most of all of these will be the same for both genders as well. But they only have the moles and freckling. There's no vertigo or vertigo. And then intensity is just the different, like how vibrant and bold they are. And let's see, like you could have this kind of freckling, intensity, will be like that. It just gets lighter until it almost completely vanishes, or it's the most vibrant it can be. And then you just have these. And then flip just puts them on the other side. It just kind of mirrors it over. And then for the general, you have the base color here. So you'll have all of these base colors. And if you move the top bar here, you'll see how it moves the colors everywhere else to the same value. So starting back at 1. But if you go to the secondary color, it now changes, and it does not change globally. And then for the eyebrows, you'll be able to actually change your eyebrow type. And then facial hair, you can do and those are all of the available base game facial hairs. And then the last one is actually from a DLC. Then you go to the hair types. So let's go back. You can actually do, let's see here, type here. So we'll start with 1 here. And 5. Six, you have a kind of more scruffy looking, shaven Agent 47 type of look if you want to go for that. And then the first available DLC hair for the male counterpart. And then this one who looks like the main villain from like the Fifth Element or something. Especially if you make his hair black. You could totally just make him if you wanted in the medieval times. And then if you go all the way to the female counterpart, now you have a different set of faces. And then eyes. Then the nose. Then the mouth. Then ears. And then in the back. Go to eyes. everything is pretty much all the same, but if you go to 1, you have none. So 1 would indicate you have none of anything. And so let's see, we'll keep the general of everything. I'll show the different hair types for the female counterpart. So we'll have that. And then number 2. Five. This is the first available hair for the female counterpart from the DLC. And I think it looks especially nice with that hair right here, like this type of hair color. And then you have this one with the golden accents. And this is also the first hair that's available for the male counterpart. And then also the same one that the male counterpart had. And then for the eyebrows, it's the same for the most part. And then no facial hair. And then so I will be actually creating this, and I'll keep the default face. I'll keep the eyes. The nose is good, mouth is good, and the ears are also, let's see, the ears are good. And then I will change his, let's see, everything here is good. And then I'll just change his hair type to this. Change his eyebrows to 3. No facial hair. And again, all characters will start at 18 years old. So yes, this guy is 18 years old. And he almost looks older than me. Let's see to accept, and I will name him Henry. And here we are. We will have the new quest called The Clean Slate, Waking Up from a Nightmare. And I have to talk to the guy named Sedowin. And this is actually what is known as the sick house. So this is the box fireplace where we will be able to craft some roasted meat and or fish, just simple foods. And then here's the place we can sleep. And I'll be right back very shortly. And I am back. And so we will go out the door, and the way to go is there's no interact button to open the door. You just simply by default hit WASD. You hit the W forward, you'll open the door. The left key, you can see punch, block with the right hand, and with the right click. But the left click will be just punch, block with the right click. But then if you hit the left click while blocking, you'll do a push. If you do it while you have something equipped in your hand, you'll just push forward with the one hand, which is your main hand. If you have something in your offhand, such as like a torch or shield, that arm, your left arm, does not go forward. It doesn't move at all. The inspector mode is left alt. And then as you can see, Sedowin is right there. And as you can see, it does consume stamina, which is the green bar at the lower left corner. Red is health, the orange is hunger, and blue is water. And if you hit the P key by default, you'll see the third person perspective. And you just move forward like this. So if you like to play in third person, you can. And then you do this. You can't necessarily move forward because at least by default, the camera will only follow the character when you move in a specific direction. It'll just turn around. If you hit the key under the escape key, you can actually do like a much lower walk. Just a light stroll. Then you go back to a more like really slow jog. And then shift is sprinting. In space, you can jump over. If you have enough speed, you can actually jump over the fence. And then we talked to Sedowin here, and in this first playthrough that I'll actually be doing, I will show all of the quest dialogue. And so he says, "Oh, you're alive, and you look quite mobile as well. That's surprising." And like, excuse me, but who are you, and what is this place? My name is Sedowin, and I'm a local barber surgeon. At least that's what the townsfolk call me. I never truly pursued a career in medicine, but I guess I was the least hesitant to grab the axe when it was needed. That's the Oxbow for you. It doesn't matter who you were before, only what the land has in store for you from this point out, you'll see. So I listen. But before I can answer any more of your questions, I need to perform a quick examination. We have to be sure that every part of you is healing correctly. Let's start with you telling me what is the last thing that you remember. And I'll just say, waking up in the house nearby, can't remember anything else. I was the commander of a guard hired to protect the convoy of builders and craftsmen. We were attacked. The guild's caravan was set to arrive to the Oxbow, but it was ambushed by bandits on the way. I was unlawfully captured and sold against my will to the highest bidder. While I was being transported, the bandits struck. And I was just... So I will go and I'll just say... Maybe I'll just go and do... the... Let's see. Because some of them he'll just either believe you or say that's what we want him to believe, or he just doesn't like the fact that you're lying. Like, he kind of gauges that just from speech patterns, I suppose, and what he knows about the situation. And he says, I've noticed the rope burns on your wrist. I'm so sorry, kid. This world's cruelty knows no limits. You were saved from one tragedy by another. I won't trouble you with any more questions. Just tell me if you feel fine or wish to go through a couple of quick rehabilitation exercises, which are just to help us get acquainted with the game. And let's do it. Or I feel fine, but I'll say let's do it. And okay, I prepared a short list of tasks that help stimulate your muscle memory and test your coordination. On the table in front of the sick house, you should find a piece of parchment with the list on it. It's right next to the book that I'm writing. Give it a look if you like. It's called Knowledge. That's just a working title. And it's a collection of all the wisdom that I've gathered throughout the years. Just a side project. I allowed myself to add a copy of it to your journal as well. Feel free to use it whenever you wish. And also the chest next to my house, you might find a few useful things in there. Come back to me when you finish the exercises, and I'm on it. And it'll literally be right behind him. So I have 3 logs, 10 sticks, and 20 straw. All have their respective weights. And currently I have 50 coins, which is the local currency of the world. And then I currently have 5.60 kilograms out of 35, and you can actually exceed this amount. Where in yellow, you'll just slow down. If it's red, you're completely encumbered and you cannot move at all until you drop something. Or you can go into gameplay and you can actually enable the unlimited weight if you really want to, just so you can move around. Or you can actually consume certain substances here, and some of them will allow you to increase your carrying capacity and weight for, at least not necessarily the capacity, but the weight. So capacity by weight. For a duration of time, kind of as a temporary buff. So let's see here, we got that. So we go over here, we'll do some target practice with that. So the first thing first is just learning what to do. Hit the lower left Alt key. So the list of exercises is what we need to do. So we take that, and now it'll give us the quests, and all the quests that are currently tracked will be near the upper right corner. And then, so I need to gather resources from the ground nearby, such as stone, and then loot the chest near the sick house, craft a stone knife, skin the chicken lying next to the chest, and collect its meat, basically the rooster. Craft a simple torch, use the fireplace inside the sick house, and roast the meat. Craft a wooden spear, and hit the archery target with a spear. And also you can go here, hit E for knowledge, and you'll see many different things, many different components to the game mechanics, which can get very involved, especially with the settlement. But when you get the hang of it, it's really not all that bad, as you will see. So you have food, it shows you the basics here. And I'll just give a brief overview of these, and if you like, I'll just include these. You can read them if you like. And then it basically just gives you a list of basic resources that are found in the game. And so pretty much you do want to have a partner as soon as possible once you are at least still young enough, because if you don't have an heir by the time your character becomes old, which is about like 55 years and up, and then once your character ultimately, I guess, like, you know, if you like, if some animal or I guess like hostile humans get you, or you just naturally age up due to the course of nature, then your game will literally just come to an ultimate end and your journey will end. The same as if your dynasty reputation falls below negative 10,000 dynasty reputation, your adventure will come to an end. So if you do have an heir and you get to 55 and older, then you will retire and step down as, I guess, leader of the settlement, and your heir will be a non-playable, basically they'll become the non-playable NPC who will then become the next in line to pretty much manage and take charge of the settlement that you have built up with on your own, as well as with the other settlers you may have. And if you do ultimately, you know, I guess you just pass on, then I guess your heir will then become playable. And then from there, I wonder if you can literally just keep on going the same way. Like your heir will then, you know, you'll be able to have an heir. And then, so I wonder if your heir can have an heir, but you'll be playing as your first heir, and then you can literally just have like a family line or something. So that's actually really interesting there. And so that's where, you know, you have to kind of gauge, and like initially you will have to use the text to really figure out what your prospective partners you know, attributes are, what their personality is like, and then you can get gifts. So there's usually various gift vendors, and there's one in Piastovia, and based on who like, you know, who really likes what, you can kind of gauge based on the description of those gifts, as well as the type of text that will be shown when you try to romance some of the various characters. And you'll know you can recruit them to your settlement. You'll see some kind of like this human looking icon, and that's how you know you can recruit them or romance them. Otherwise, if they don't have that, you won't be able to romance them. That's how you know. And also, they cannot exceed 10 years above your own. And for NPCs, they actually can, but they have a higher limit of 20 years apart, and you can only have opposite genders living together. And so if you have two male settlers, they have to have two separate houses. If you have a male and female, you can have them both in the same house, and chances are they'll have a kid. So if you don't want that yet, you'll have to put them in separate houses. And so here's gifts. It'll detail basically how you it'll suit the recipient's personality the most. It'll grant the best effects. You can literally gift them anything, but it probably won't increase it as much as what they truly like. And then if your spouse was initially working, once they are taking care of your child, they cannot work for 2 entire years. So that would be like 2 cycles of the 4 seasons. Which, depending on your setting For the season length, that could be a very, very long time. But fortunately, maybe even unfortunately, sometimes the initial day and night cycles in the game are, I feel like they're fairly short compared to some other games where you can actually impact and influence the initial day-night cycle. So you can't choose like a longer day or shorter nights, or shorter days, longer nights, or like a 50-50. And it seems like, you know, it's still around like the 30-minute mark or so. Like somewhere around there, maybe more or less. And so here's management. So it just has everything you need to know about managing your settlement. The development stage, which it'll tell you here, and it'll just tell you what you'll be paying, what you can expect to pay based on the development stage. So depending on how many buildings you have, you'll have a certain percentage of standard taxes to pay every year. So you pay once every year, and I guess Piastovia takes it. Then you have your inhabitants, and then you'll be able to see what they have. And if you actually hit the lower left, like the left alt key, it'll activate the inspector mode, and the inspector mode will tell you what their stats are as you pretty much try to check what their stats are before recruiting them. And it does consume stamina unless you actually change it in gameplay, even just temporarily, just so you can focus on what their stats are for free, at least until you purchase the perk where you're able to use a lower, where you could use inspector mode, and inspector mode doesn't consume any stamina at all. So as you can see here, the stamina bar is not decreasing at all. So either they have the perk there, or they set it so you have unlimited stamina. And then people's management, it just teaches you how the different color coding and who is who based on the color coding. And so yeah, you'll see the more details regarding the individuals as well, including their name and the other details such as like what they like to do. Houses, the mood kind of matters, otherwise they'll just leave your settlement if they're not happy. And usually you can keep them in a good mood by giving them what they need, and the number one thing they would need is basically a house. They need food, water, and pretty much a source of firewood. And they'll need that daily. And so you can do that by actually putting those resources in the storage chest of their house. And usually in the upper left corner, it'll show initially it'll show the 3 or 4 initial like red icons showing what they need. And if they have a job assigned but they don't have the tools assigned, you'll see that they won't be able to do their job because they don't have the tools. But you can actually provide them with the tools they need to do their job. And all of it can be managed in the management section. Then you have dynasty reputation, tells you what I had mentioned a little bit earlier about if you fail quests, don't pay your taxes. If you get caught stealing something, then it'll lower your rep rating. When it drops to below negative 10,000, you will be banished from the Oxbow and your adventure will come to an end. And I guess you either restart from the very beginning again, or you just go back to where you last saved. And then the food source. You'll have the food source, so you will want to get reliable food going, especially as your settlement starts getting way more buildings and way more inhabitants. The demand will increase, and you'll also see that in the management section. And then you have the water source, which is actually very simple. So you just go to a body of water. You can have a well that you can drink from each of those directly. Firewood source. So either you can get that yourself, or you can actually have one of your inhabitants work on that, provided you give them the tools. And then we age up. So they show the different age groups. So the infants will be 0 to 2 years, toddlers will be 2 to 7, kids 7 to 14, teenagers 14 to 18. The adult is 18 to 55, and old is 55 plus years. And the teenager range, they can be apprentices, but the residents of other settlements such as Piastovia, Klonika, Stoya, and Skelki, they do not age. They only age if they're in your settlement. And then the character themselves. Then you have your building management, so you can change the kind of the placard that's on the wall there. You can change the design, but I actually just prefer to keep the original, just so we know what is what and not to get confused by it. You have the animal husbandry, but I didn't get that far yet. Have the crops management. It's nice that you don't have to actually farm the seedlings one by one like with other games. You can actually allocate them here, and then it's all managed here. I would say it's actually a very organized and intuitive system here, and you can just change everything with this type of convenience. And the apprenticeship, when the teenagers age up, pretty much when the children age up, the young people will observe and assist the masters in their daily chores, pretty much their instructor. And this activity will boost their own skills and prepare them for their future duties. Apprentices develop their skills at half the adult rate, and they don't contribute to production. In order for the learning to take place, the building has to have at least one adult worker assigned. And then you have the 4 seasons: spring, summer, autumn, winter. And obviously we will start in spring. And it's different from other games such as Bellwright, which I will also be featuring on the channel. And so you start in spring, and then it'll be like, oh, you have 4 or 5 days left until winter. So it seems like you have to work very, very fast, and you can't really change the duration of the season there. And I would say even with the wolves, like comparing the wolves, for instance, they would be, I would say they're one of the first hostile animals you'll actually encounter in Bellwright. Here, the wolves and like other animals, but the wolves especially, as one of the more familiar aggressive animals right off the bat, and they can actually detect you from a pretty far distance, and they are fairly quick. Their AI will literally follow you unless, I guess, you damage them enough. They will run away, they'll retreat, but otherwise they will attack you just a couple times and then you're down. So it's the same with bears and the Wistent, which is like almost this giant bison looking kind of like, I don't know, like a giant bison or really giant like bison ox with horns. But they are pretty tanky, and I think there's a Wiston area where there are some where there's just one in like their own secluded areas, and I think others where there's like a horde of them. So there's like a whole pack of like 5 or 6 of them. So you really want to get them. You either stay away earlier on, or you have to be really prepared. And they'll have their dash and then you pretty much have to either kite around them or sidestep them, so to speak. And then I guess ranged is the safest bet. And then each season lasts 3 days by default. Throughout the year, you must pay attention to the changing seasons because it affects a variety of factors. Certain crops can only be sowed and harvested during specific times of the year. The forests bear different kinds of berries and mushrooms. Temperature also changes according to the season, so you'd have to change your attire, which isn't just purely cosmetic, but it has temperature stats, so you can use some of them to give you hot and cold protection. And so at least starting off for spring and summer, it's usually pretty suitable what we start with. And torches will be a good way to warm up pretty much. You can also create a lantern, like the oil lanterns. They don't warm up as well, but they do last longer. They don't burn out as quickly. And one of the good things to do during spring also is to collect the berry resources, and then you can let them rot to become manure. So you could use, you let them rot to become fertilizer, and you just use that for farming. And then, but the animal manure can also be used as fertilizer as well. And in a pinch, the rot can also be eaten by your settlers if they need food, but just don't force them to eat it because it'll really lower their mood. And then you have the different technologies, which you'll actually gain levels just by doing the various tasks, such as the gathering, cutting trees, mining. I guess even talking to people, it'll help get the diplomacy leveled up. You have merchant locations, and sometimes they'll tell you where the merchants are, or they'll just tell you to ask around. You have your village name if you have a high enough relationship and you built a good rapport with the king, and you have to give a very generous monetary reward. And depending on that relationship, you'll also be able to use the emblem you create eventually, and you can use that on your crest eventually. So you have your crest here, the crest symbols, crest objects, and I think some are also provided by the DLCs, but you can also use them on your horse. You have your banner. And then the building here, you have all of this. You have the info on how to cultivate a field, and you can always access this anytime you like in the knowledge section. You have orchards, so that's for planting the trees. You select build mode by right-clicking when you're holding a hammer, or pretty much. And then seed selection is when you're doing it in person, but you can also do it in the management section after the initial plot is already allocated. And then you have the quest info here. So you have the series of missions known as chapters. They appear at the beginning of the game and introduce you to the game's mechanics. So that's what we have right now. The various quests, you'll see the quest objective as well as quest markers and who you need to talk to. You have the taxes that you pay once every spring, and then you just don't want to lose 1,000 dynasty reputation from not paying the taxes. And then you have 3 different type of pillars, and they basically serve the purpose of allowing the workers to progress faster while working in the following buildings. So depending on the need of your settlement and or just your general playstyle, you can actually have the Pillar of the Forest helps with the workshop, hunting lodge, woodshed, the herbalist hut, which includes things like the different potions. You have the pigsty, apiary, and they actually have different tiers of the workshop, hunting lodge, and the herbalist hut. So I think it's like 1, 2, 3. And they all create different items. And then you have pillar of the mountain, you have kitchen, hen house, the smithy, workshop, excavation shed, and the mine. And I really do want to get a more advanced smithy that allows like elite armor eventually. I think when you have the max level, like the max tier smithy. And then you have the pillar of the lake, where you have the well, but that's, I don't think that's really super important to have as part of working faster, unless it helps build some kind of like gathering skill. And then you have the barn, sewing hut, fishing hut for food, and the fold. And then you just have like these miscellaneous settings such as the HUD settings, and basically you can just toggle them on off as you like, just for more realistic immersion, as if you are playing a game in real life. And camera perspective is basically just like hitting the P key. It doesn't mention it here, but by default it is the P key to enter the third person perspective, and then P to turn it back. And you can also access that at any time. So that was the knowledge there. And then here, the knowledge on tools, it just tells you pretty much everything that is available in the game. And during the first 18 hours or so I played this game, I actually haven't checked this part, but it shows every item available in the game. And then you have the different clothes, so all of those could be used for their armor value, as well as temperature management throughout the 4 seasons every year. And then the different pouches and backpacks, so you can increase your carrying capacity. And then you have a lot of these. A lot of these can be crafted with the tier 2 and 3 like crafting buildings respectively. You have all of the different consumables, whether you get them in the wild or some of them you just buy or cultivate yourself. And most of the seedlings you pretty much have to buy from a vendor. And then buckets, I think you can craft the buckets, and or you just buy them. And they do have durability. So that's also something that is important to keep in mind. And you will want to have buckets. I don't know about the water skins. Water skins might work as well, but I'm not sure if they lose durability when you give them to your settlers to drink from. But as you use them and empty the water from the buckets, for example, they will start to lose durability. But fortunately, they are easy enough to procure. And then you have the different foods that could be found, bought, or made in the kitchen. And it's quite extensive, as you can see. And then the different herbs that help with either giving you some buffs, or they heal you, or they help stave off hunger for a duration of time for a certain amount, such as the chicory. And then you have things that are pretty much just poison, like the deadly nightshade. And then these will actually require like a tier 2 herbalist hut, so you will not actually be able to start making healing potions until you get the tier 2 building. But you actually can, if you go looting around the map, you can actually find plenty of these. and sometimes they can really be a lifesaver. And then you just have a lot of these which help. And then some I haven't really seen, like lavender honey. I haven't seen that yet. And then different crafting items, there's 77. So you have all of these, the different seeds and seedlings for your farm plot and your orchard. And then you have just the different working materials, crafting materials that are available. And then things you can use to make the dyes, the dye, so to speak. And then 72 miscellaneous items like coinage, which is needed to buy things. You have different storage containers. And then items you can gift to your prospective spouse. And then other decor that could be placed and used to decorate your house with, or your sellers' houses. And then you have things you can gift to the children, which are the toys, which are the best way of increasing your relationship with the kids. And also giving gifts is also the best way to increase the relationship and actually keeping the interest of your spouse. And also just talking to them, but usually just talking to them and trying to keep the spark alive just through conversation normally wouldn't be the most effective way. It's the gifting that actually is the most effective. And so if you hit the tab key by default, you can access this menu again at any time. So let's get right into the gameplay now. And in the video, I'll actually provide some timestamps. So if you like, you can just read that entire overview, or you can just skip directly to the action and the gameplay, and we'll be starting right at this point. And so we will gather resources from the ground nearby. Will be stone. Right now we can't really see what the different objects are in inspector mode yet, but eventually once you can unlock the perk, you'll be able to unlock the perk. I think it's a tier 2 perk where you can actually start to see the sticks and stones on the ground. If you have logs, they will actually be labeled logs. And then you'll be able to also eventually see the herbs and other items on the ground as well. And then we have Derwan here, who will be the primary NPC that we talk to for the notice board quests for the most part. Some of the like quest objective NPCs will be in other towns, so you just have to go to every town pretty much just to find out where they are for the most part, because it doesn't actually tell you where they live, so you'll just have to find them for the most part. So I'll go and get the 10 stones here, and then this is just collecting resources, but you see that in the knowledge section at any time. And then we can go and do taking sticks and stones because we will need them. So in this case, the more the better. And you can actually hold E and you'll just keep harvesting as long as you're close to items that can be harvested, so you don't have to keep clicking. And I just need one more stone. They could be found here. And then loot the chest. So I will hit C to transfer all over to the inventory. And then it says craft. So just for the sake of the task, that's just what we're going to have to do. And then I hit the Q key. You go to handcrafting and you just make a single stone knife. And that will also potentially be one of the notice board quests where Derwan will request a specific amount of stone knives to make. And then he'll just give you 50 dynasty rep and like an assortment of coins. And that's pretty much what most of those notice board quests will provide each season, but once each season. And you can actually take them all at one time if you desire, but by default, you'll only have those 3 days to complete any quests you have accepted. If you don't accept them, you're fine by season's end, but if they are currently in progress by the next season, you will lose all of that dynasty rep. So now with the stone knife, I can skin the chicken here, and then you just get to the right spot and you can hold the E key, and you can pretty much just do this when skinning any of the animals, and you'll get the respective amount of resources that they provide. And now with the simple torch, also crafted in hand here, it requires 1 stick and 9 straw. I only want to have the 1. And if you have at least 2 in your inventory, once the first one burns out, the second one will just automatically replace it without you having to look in your inventory to go and equip it separately. It'll just do it automatically as long as you already had your initial torch out. But I will usually just go to craft more. I'll craft 2. I'll accept that. And then what do I need for a wooden spear here? I will do 1. And then I have meat from the rooster, but I'll do that on the way. And then I'll see if I can actually hit the target here with the wooden spear we had just created. I'll equip that to the 2 key, simple torch. I'll just equip it, and it doesn't go on the toolbar. It'll just automatically go in the torch slot. And then I go to number 2, right click to aim, and you can just go and fire. And you can do something like that. So as you can see, like it does move a little bit. So that's not that good, but usually you want to get somewhere in the center there. So we can see if we want to do that. If you do that, it's not going to be as accurate, so you might want to lower it based on the distance you are away. So you have to go and pick that up, and as you use it, you'll see the degradation of the wooden spear there. So you can either left click with that, and you can see it's kind of slow. Right click, you'll just do the throw. So you could just go like that. It goes a little too low if you aim there from that distance. And then it'll just give you an even lower score just because it was lower down. I guess the closer it gets to the ground or the higher it's above the target, the accuracy drops. And there, accuracy 100. That was a perfect score right there. And right on the last hit, it just vanishes because it just ran out of its durability. So at least with the wooden spear, you can see that's about how much durability it gets. So we go back to the sick house here. And so here, this will be one of the primary places you can go to cook simple things such as the fish, but you will need a fishing spear or a fishing net. which you can either get eventually when you get like a way, like a fishing hut, I think, and maybe even like some of the other crafting buildings, tier 2 and up. You'll have the like a smaller or medium-sized net than like larger nets for fishing, and I guess it just makes it easier. Or you'll initially be able to get the fishing spear, and you'll use that in the various areas in the bodies of water you'll find. That'll tell you what kind of fish are there, and they'll just tell you it's a normal spot, but you can also filter for them on the map at any time. So here we just have things like that. We have ash as well, or I think as dye maybe. So roasted fish meat, this is just like 7 automatically, and then 4, and then just the singular variations. So salted meat, this is like the salted meat variation, and salting the fish and or meat are a way of natural preservation, as there's no actual refrigeration. And so here we will craft more, and I will just go and craft all of it. So I will hit F for accept. And with the quick crafting on, it just took about 3 seconds or so there, and all 4 meat are cooked. So that does actually save a lot of time. And then I just talked to To Derwan now, who came back.
My favorite patient is back.
And I'm done with the list. So splendid. And how do you feel? Did you have any trouble? And I could say, none, I'm good as new. Some, but I managed. Many, I'm afraid. I think my recovery will take some more time. But you could just say, some, but I managed. And I'm ecstatic to hear that your recuperation is truly a marvelous case. Is there anything else? And as far as I'm concerned, our work together is done, and I'm more than happy with the results. The next thing for you is to go and meet the Castellan. He's the ruler of this land, and he wants to speak with you himself. That's it. If you ever need my help, you know where to find me. Take care of yourself, kid. Take care of yourself, kid. And I'll do that. Thank you, To Derwan, for everything. Or I don't care about rulers. Sure, I just want to explore the neighborhood first. But I would say thank you for everything, and I will be heading on directly over to the notice board. I will accept some of the quests, and then I will head over to the Waterfall Cave area to build the first build of the settlement. That'll be my house. And then I'll work on the next house for the first settlers. And usually you can find the first set just outside of Piastovia. You'll usually see a group of 3 to 4 settlers, but you can also find some around various camp areas in other cities and other villages. And then I have to talk to Mirogod, who usually he will be in this house next door. And it's good that Mirogod is actually in his house right now. Or no, he's outside of his house right now. Mirogod is his wife. Where'd he go? Wait, where'd he go suddenly? Oh, he's up there actually. I didn't know he actually goes up to the top of the wall. Because sometimes you'll see him in his building at the town square, or like in the shopping area, or you'll see him at the tavern. But I've never seen him actually look out here. But he's like, stop bothering me. Don't you see that I'm... Oh, it's you. You took your time. And he's usually just pretty... You know, he has this attitude with you. He's pretty snarky. And you just address him. Oh, good day to you, my liege. I'm here at your request. Hello there. I heard that you wanted to speak with me. What is it that you want from me? And you pretty much, like, either way, he's just like, oh, you should talk to him this way, or other stuff. He usually just dismisses you. And then he just doesn't want his wife talking to commoners. And then he'll always think you're just part of the guild regardless, just because you were there. Like I wasn't. And then he always just says he's not done talking, and then he just always has his own reasoning. And he automatically assumes you joined the Builders Guild, even though you were just there. You were just brought there against your will. And then you can literally just be like, thanks. Like, of course, sire. I'll see what's what and then decide. Or you just end the dialogue, you know, just like that. And then Derwan is the guy you have to talk to. Let's see here. And I don't know. Let's see. You'll have to go and find Derwan now. Otherwise, you have to... Let's see. Forgot what part. I think maybe he lived near the end. But first things first, I'll go and demonstrate where we can get the water from. So I can literally just get it right here. The right spot, and you can just drink the water. One drink will fill you up completely. And as for hunger, I can go over to the food looking symbol here, the consumable tab here, and I can eat the roasted meat here. So it provides 12 food. And I'll just leave it at that. About 3 pieces there. And then I just have to find Derwan. And the good part is even if they're sleeping, you can still go and talk to him at night. So I will be heading on over to wherever Derwan may be. Oh, there he is. He's at the tavern right now at about 2012, which is about 8 p.m. And Derwan says, glad to finally see you in good health. I'm Derwan, Piastovia's quartermaster, and I was told by the Castellan to speak with you. I understand. Allow me to elaborate a bit on your situation then. Our ruler tends to be brief at times. Yes, please, that would help a lot. That's mildly put. I don't need any elaboration. I know what I'm doing. So I'd say, yes, please, that would help a lot. You see, your guild was invited to the Oxbow in order to start a new settlement, which in time could develop into a strong ally of Piastovia. And continue. But what you might wonder is, why would Piastovia need such an ally, or what does it really mean to be its ally? These questions are hard to answer for sure. Someone could have even said, dangerous task. What are you trying to say? And he's like, sorry, I forget I said anything. I didn't want to insinuate that you're in any kind of danger. The Oxbow is a wonderful place. Apart from a hungry wolf or a drunk adventurer turned bandit, you have nothing to worry about. Just be careful who you put your trust in. And speak your mind, mister. Is this supposed to be a threat? Alright, Derwan, I will then, if you say so. And let's see. Just ask him to speak his mind. Like, let's just say that not every village in the Oxbow is on good terms with its neighbors. Getting a friend in one place might get you an enemy somewhere else. Not every smile you'll see. So he's like, let's just say that not every village in the Oxbow is on good terms with its neighbors. Getting a friend in one place might get you an enemy somewhere else. Not every smile you'll see will be a sincere one. People are drawn to power, and it might make them easily forget about their humanity. And I'll be careful. Thank you. Don't worry, I can take care of myself. Or understood. Good. When you were talking with the Castellan, I put some things for you in the chest next to Sedowin's house. It's not much. A few of the items that we recovered from the carnage, and a couple of useful things that will help you get started. And I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Or you just say no comment, pretty much. But I'll just thank him for that. This is it then. The only thing left to do is to go out there and explore, roam around, and find the best starting place for the new settlement. I'm sure you'll do fine. And the Oxbow, here I come. And then you get your plus 200 dynasty there. And then first things first is I will go to the notice board and accept some of the quests. And he's one of the Swir here is one of the story NPCs. So reading a notice board, can I help you somehow? Do you live in Piastovia? How much time do we have before the end? But it's like we don't even know about that yet. And reading a notice board, can I help you? Oh yes, the Chosen One, the world is in grave danger. Chosen One, grave danger. I'm not sure if that was the answer to my question. The ancient evil is raising its head from the swamp. People must be warned. But no one wants to listen to me, especially the quartermaster. People need to open their minds, but you look like someone with an open one. Do I? You need to warn the citizens of Piastovia. They're more likely to listen to you. And what exactly should I tell them? That the end is nigh. We all should prepare for the worst and don't go near the swamp. And if I talk with them, you'll let them be. Of course, it will be up to them what they will do with the warning. And actually, there's a guy who also resembles him, almost like they're part of some cult. Or something. They have the same makeup, they talk in a similar manner, and the dude also lives in the swamp, and he has an animal, like what looks like it could be an animal sacrifice, or he's just working with it. And so here you'll see the different seasonal tasks. They're randomized every season, even every playthrough. I've had different randomized sets each time. So here you have to hunt the 7 pigeons. There's a Markuslaw, so I think he's in, like, you'll have to find where they are. They don't tell you where they live. Unless maybe... Well, they will, I think. They'll give you the task objective. When you track the quest, it'll tell you where they are. And that's like the only other way you'll know. And then you get feathers for making the arrows, and you get 50 dynasty reputation. So that would be the bloody sky rats. The pigeons have it in for me for some reason. They keep trying to make a nest on my roof. They're cooing all the time, and I can't even count the number of times a pigeon's poop landed on my head. If anybody could help me get rid of those bloody birds, I would be eternally grateful. And the feather rufflers, you have Derwan. So it says feather 52. I have 26 right now. You do this, you actually get 36 of the feathers. That will help go towards delivering to Derwan for that quest, so you could knock those out at the same time, it would seem. That's very helpful. So the people of Oxbow, a series of pillow thefts is over. The juvenile delinquents who have been collecting our pillows for their fights have been captured, and as their punishment, they will sew the new ones, as those found at the crime scene were in a miserable state. All residents are highly encouraged to speed this process up by bringing some feathers. Both volunteers and victims shall report to the quartermaster for reward and compensation. And then the stones, you just have to deliver 21 stones. I currently have 11, so that's also very easy to do. And badger, we'll have that. So for the stones, to reinforce some of our stone fences, we need more well stones. The crown will fairly compensate you for the materials, and because it's really easy to do, you just get 7 coins and 50 dynasty rep. And then badger, the people of Oxbow, the people of Oxbow. The badgers no longer stick to the woods. They probably found out that it's much easier to get food close to human dwellings. The quartermaster is looking for volunteers willing to fight the said vermin. A fair reward awaits. And you get 80 coins and 50 dynasty rep. But I would say the monetary rewards from the first set I got initially was also much higher. So there is RNG involved with how much coins you can get from seasonal tasks. You can see this is still day 1, 22:55, and so you could sleep, I think it was between 7 or 8 p.m. at night until about 6 a.m. in the morning. And so we will have the map here. We are currently at the central village of the Oxbow, which is Piastovia. And you can filter by the main filters. You have people who are inhabitants, so the people who have the inhabitants filter, you'll be able to eventually see them on the map. But I think that's mostly for your settlement. And then you have the quests. So you have the herald who will visit your settlement eventually. And that's how you will be able to form a higher rapport with the, like, you could build a better rapport with the king through his herald. And then you have the, and I guess he's also the one who will be collecting the taxes every spring. But I haven't gotten that far yet. And then you have the new quest indicator, the quest target, and then the notice board itself, which is where we are currently at. And then the different buildings are mostly just for your settlement. And then by house type, so we'll start with different simple small houses, such as like the wattle houses of your settlement, and then the different extraction structures. You have your hunting structures, farming structures, the animal husbandry, production, services, storages, traps. And then wild animals will show you where the different animals are. So it depends on if you even discovered those spots in the first place. Once you discover them, then they will show up on the map when you filter for wild animals. And eventually you'll also be able to have a perk where when you use inspector mode, you'll be able to track the animals you are hunting or trying to stay away from anyway. At least at the beginning of the game. But as you can see right now, none of those spots are discovered aside from when I discovered the duck area, a fishing spot, as well as the pigeons. So you can see that they are only in these general areas here. And then we're just back to the main area. And here's the Wagoneer, who is available for fast travel. And if you're somewhat encumbered over the initial weight limit, you will have to pay some kind of let's see, what would they call it? Some kind of like a additional fee, so to speak. Almost like, it's not necessarily like an additional markup price, but rather it's more of just an additional service fee that the Wagoneer will charge based on the capacity that you are over your current max capacity. And then if you're too heavy, the Wagoneer may not even want to provide its services to you until you become light enough. But eventually you'll be able to get a donkey or a horse, and you can use them as travel around the map, and that'll actually make looting around the various areas a lot easier. So the area that I discovered that I wanted to build around is actually a bit southeast of Piastovia. It's actually around here. And then you have the waterfall here and a cave here. So that would be good for, I guess, if there's salt in there as well as other ore, like mineral ores there, then that's good. And then I will go accept some of the notice board quests here, and then I'll start building here immediately. And pigeons will be easier once you, well, if I go and bring some of the items that I need first, then I could go and hunt the pigeons, but it'll be easier to find them in the daytime. And then you have the feathers from completing this task. And then I have the stones, which I can deliver soon, but I'll deliver them all at the same time. And then the badgers, you just have to find the badger spots, and then you just do the same thing. And it's the same thing with the foxes. Like the foxes sometimes just start dwelling closer and closer to the human settlements. But since most of them are just hunting tasks, I'll probably just wait until, like, let's see if I could find those spots in the first place. And then stone. Like, I got lucky the first time around in a separate playthrough that I did just to kind of learn the game. Most of them were collection tasks, all for Derwan, so, or either that or just crafting simple items, just a certain amount of simple items, and just delivering them to him all in one go. So I was able to complete 3 of the 4 tasks, and then the one task I had was for an NPC in a another village around the map. And so you'll actually be able to just complete it by looking at the quest tracker, the quest objective. When you have the task, when you have that quest actively tracked, then it will more than likely be easier to find on the map as well. It'll be easier to make sense of in that case. So I will do, I could probably just accept them all right now, but then you would really have to focus on hunting and finding their spawn locations, which are still relatively close by, especially with the badgers. And the pigeons are right here in Piastovia, so that's simple enough. But you have to be stealthy so they don't fly away. And you have to have 7 of them. And then the badgers, you only need 3 because they will run off. But at least, fortunately, they're not necessarily as quick as the foxes are. And then when they get out of your view, it's almost like they just vanish or despawn. And then you have to go and find them again. So I would say being able to track them with the inspector mode. Once you get that perk unlocked, I think it was like a tier, it might have been a tier 3 perk. But it's still like no matter how much you level for like a little while, I think like 3 to 5 times or so, you still won't be able to unlock it yet at the time. So you'll have to actually wait a little bit before those particular perks unlock. But I would say it's totally worth it to get, especially later on with the, if you ever decide to play with the default season length, or you increase it, you can also change it to any amount you desire, but it will only take place, it will only take effect by the next season. So after the initial requirement of time to wait before being able to advance to the next season, you can do so by sleeping in the bed. And so you have those 2 options. You can just sleep to the next day, or you can sleep to advance to the next season. And you can do that at any time after the initial like 2 or 3 day wait time to do so, regardless of your season length setting. And I'll just go and accept all the quests right now because I will do them eventually. And right now I will, like a good way to find out where to go back to the sick house from the notice board, I just follow this path here. I take a left. Well, no, not there. It'll be from the notice board, and then it's actually down here. But if you're already down here, you can actually run all the way back up, and then the notice board is actually right here, so it's actually just straight ahead. So instead of turning into here, we actually just turn into here. And then here is the sick house again. And then here's the chest. And as you can see, Derwan left all of these for us. And then this is just a quest item, so I assume that's for the story quest. It has no weight, so I can bring that with me. I'll take the bucket for the first settlers. I'll have the bow and 10 copper arrows, so I'll take all of those. And then I will take the copper axe, the hammer for building. I'll just take the 1. And then farming, didn't really need that yet. I'll take the copper knife, but I may not really need that yet, actually, unless I go and I need to hunt something. And then the copper shovel will help me uproot the tree stumps. Healing will be fairly nice, so I'll take all of those. I don't need the simple bag yet. I don't really need the temperature. The stone axe I can give as simple tools to the villager. So let's see, stone spear. I'll take the torch. It's just 2 torches. And then I'll take the stone spear for huntings. And then I'll probably use the stone spear for the pigeons. Maybe. We'll see how that goes. And then the 3 stone axes. Let's see if that's too heavy or not. So it seems like it's totally fine. And then everything else I'll just leave here. The symbol bag can either just be used for a quest. It can be crafted with leather. So you can actually either harvest the leather yourself through hunting, or you can actually get the leather. You can buy the leather for cheaper than the simple bags are from the marketplace vendors here in Piastovia. And for example, and so you'll be able to see them there a little after 8 a.m. in the morning, every morning. And so you have the simple bags. You can craft them in the simple crafting menu here. So handcrafting is just simple. You have the simple bags, and so you might have 7, 8, 9 or so simple bags to craft, just depending on the variation of the quest that you have. And then you just deliver that to the respective NPC on the map, and you just craft it like so. And so I currently have 49.71 out of 35 kilograms of weight on me at the moment. And then you just move much slower, like you're just walking because you are encumbered. And then you try to run. This is what sprinting looks like when you're in the yellow to this extent. Your stamina drops very rapidly and you're barely trotting. So you might want to get, like, later on, it'll be really nice to have a backpack and pouch. Those would really help with the weight management there. Or you can also like consume certain consumables, certain potions or brews will help you out. So for right now, I'll keep the logs just for building. That'll get rid of some of that weight there, and then the stone is also a lot of that weight, but I'll need those for the foundation of the first house. So one of the safe routes to get down to the waterfall area here, I will set the waypoint there with the F key by default. I will go here and I can just walk down the forked roads, and as long as you follow that path, you're not going to come across any wolves from what I had found out. And so actually I'll get some of the necessary tools equipped first. So I will have the, let's see, I will get the stone spear equipped to number 2, and then I'll have the copper axe on 3, and then I will have the copper arrow. Let's see, actually no, I'll have the bow equipped to number 4, and then I'll equip it. So that puts arrows in the slot here, and that will equip it to your bow. And I think if you don't have them equipped, it'll tell you that you don't have any arrows currently equipped. And then I will take the copper hammer, I'll equip it to 5. And then the shovel will be 6. And then usually I like to have water skins or something on 8. or if I have a bucket, if you equip a bucket here and you have multiple in your inventory, you can just hold the fill bucket action and it will not only fill the one that you have in the hot bar that you have actively used, but it'll fill all the rest in your inventory at the same time as well, which is very handy. And so I will go to J, and first things first, I will probably just have this one first. So I will track the quest, and then I'll head on over to the waypoint I have set about 504 meters away. And this is just one of the prices that have to be paid, so to speak, to be able to transport everything right now all in one go, because there will also be ample storage space available after I get the house built. So as long as I don't become over encumbered, then most of those resources I already brought with me will be used in the blueprint of the simple wattle house. And I can just go along the path. And I'll just try to sprint as much as I can with the weight that I have. But usually staying as light as possible is the best for staying nimble. And I think that's actually a pigeon down yonder. So actually, I could actually try this. And then I take 2. And then with Crouch. Oh, yeah. And then your birds will fly away because they can track you. And they just hide in the grass right there. So as you can see, some of those tasks could be very challenging, especially when you can't track them yet. And they're also very fast moving. Especially at night as well. And then it is actually safe enough to pass through here. This is a non-hostile animal area here. So the hostile animals don't go this far along this particular path. However, when you get to around this area here, closer to Piastovia, there will be wolves. But usually if you stay in this general area here, you can avoid the wolves and the bears. And so that's actually also just very useful to know. And then various buildings like this, like the brew mill here, and other buildings like it will have loot, so they will also help on your journey. And here's the badger spot, so I will have to come back here to hunt the badgers later. And now they will show up in the filters on the map as the locations are discovered. But I would say the pigeons in the town are probably the easiest to spot. Then you have rabbits here. They're usually easy to catch up with when you're faster. And you can just bonk them with your hammer or any other tool that you have. And you usually get them in 1 or 2 hits. And then you're good to go. And you just skin the rabbit and you have food right there. And then here's the initial path here. So I can just run here, and this area I would say is also fairly good. You have the rabbits, you have deer hunting spots, and then if you go up above this ridge here, It's also another deer spot. So you can also get the deer pelts from there. And then the boars also provide some leather. So that's also very helpful. There are also no boars in this particular area here, but later on closer to Piastovia, as well as where those wolves are at and the like singular bears, there are also some boars in that area, like 2 or 3 at least, in my experience. And then here we have the waterfall area here. So as you can see, it's a nice, what is considered to be one of the beautiful areas of the Oxbow. And then we have the resource cave just at the end of this bridge here. You'll see the cave where the cursor is at, and you can eventually build a mine there. It will expand the mine, and I guess it just allows for additional resources to be gathered. And then you have your water here. We have the straw reed resource, like, you know, the straw resource we need via the reeds here. But they're also very abundant around Piastovia. And of course, if you're light enough, the run from here to Piastovia along this path is relatively short. It's a relatively quick step. And then you have these trees here, the maple trees. Usually they provide about 4 logs each. And then you have the birch trees. Usually they only yield about 2, so you'll get half the yield. But then up on the ridge as well, there's also more maple trees. And if you leave the stumps around, they will grow. And then you have the crow here. And then I'll just hunt the crow for food. And crow's like right there. I get my stone spear back. And then I can actually skin the crow. And sometimes you might have to beat the crow also just for quest. But as you can see, you get 8 feathers and 2 meat. And now I am completely encumbered. So I guess that meat was heavy, but I guess I can eat. And maybe that will help make me light enough again. So 0.45 weight for the apples. And then the roasted meat is 0.2. Oat roll is 0.4. Dried meat is straight up 4. So I'll eat some of the dried meat. And that makes me light enough again. So I can now move around again. So weight management will also be vital, especially when you're around the hostile animals. And then water you can drink. You can also drink from going close to the waterfall area. And as you can see, you'll be able to actually drink from the water if you just so desire. So here you can just literally point up. You can drink the water anywhere near the middle or the bottom. You can mine rock from here, but the water is too shallow for actually cleaning yourself off. So you will need to have the technology to build the basic wash tub, and then you have to fill it 3 times with a bucket, as the bucket will have a capacity of 10 water each fill. And if you have 3 buckets in your inventory, you can have those 3 and you'll just fill it all up in one go, instead of, or if you have a well built, you can just fetch water from the well and then fill your wash tub that way. And then here I built my first house somewhere around here. And then let's see. No, I think it was up here, maybe. Was it? I feel like, because there was a tree maybe I feel like it was right here. And then I had the other house just right here. I built a well right here. And then my house was actually right here. And the rock that I wanted here vanished when I placed the initial blueprint down. But then otherwise, it's a nice view. You'll have a back window like right on the back left part of the wall by default. And you'll be able to see the waterfall here. And then you'll have one like right here. You just see this in the morning or night, wherever you are. And so I can get the hammer out. And then with the build mode with the right mouse click, I'll be able to access build, select build mode, and then Q. I can go to buildings, I can go to houses, and then I can't make planks yet without the that production structure, that building there. So that would actually be the woodshed is what creates that, I believe, as extraction. And then these are where you can get the different various items crafted as well. But first things first is with the simple small wattle house with the 66 sticks, 25 logs, 10 stone, which I already have for the foundation, and then the 32 straw. And I'll just get the straw from around Piastovia probably, or just around here. And so I will place it around, well, actually, I will probably try to collect some of these first so they don't, well, no, I can't. Let's see, now I need to eat some of the dried meat here. And let's see, but I still can't move because I'm over encumbered. So I have to drop some resources. Maybe drop, let's see, this is X, drop stack. So then you drop it right there. Shows I have the 2 logs there. I can move again. But let's see. I'll just have to get them from somewhere else then, even if I risk losing them. But I don't want to lose the logs. So I'll just have it go over here. I'll just drop the stack there. And then if you build here, I think it does eliminate the deer spawn here though. So they just won't spawn, like animals won't spawn where you build. So if you have bears in a cave, you'll have to eliminate them. And then when you build near that general area, the bears won't spawn anymore. And I wonder if it's the same for like the hostile humans. If you build near where they spawn, then after you beat them, they probably won't spawn anymore. So I wonder if their spawn mechanic is the same as the animals. But then you pretty much just lose out on whatever loot they would otherwise provide. So, I mean, you'd have to kind of weigh the pros and cons there in terms of the resource gathering, depending on how long you may plan on playing through the different generations that are potentially possible through the air gameplay. And so the first thing first is hitting the Q key, getting the house built, and then I just have to build where there aren't any obstacles blocking it. But it let me build right here. And I would just build right here. And then I can hit left click. It'll place the foundation using the stones. And then it's just one hit since I did quick building rather than having to do like however many hits it would take to actually get the build done. And now I don't have enough logs there. So it'll say not enough resources. And then I'll have to... I do plan on keeping this here because I will have the house here as well for the other settlers. And then I'll also build the well here. So I want enough space between them. So we have a place to fetch the water. And then maybe eventually some roads going. And then I'll have the kitchen around here in this little clearing. And then I had the wood, like the wood, but the woodshed was right next to the other house, the first set of settlers' house, and then I had the resource material type of building where non-consumable buildings go. And I pretty much just gather the, like if you cut trees, gather the logs, you level up and you can unlock additional tech. And then we will begin just like that. So I will equip the copper axe here. And then I will begin by cutting this tree here. You can just hold the left mouse key down and then it'll just constantly swing without you having to constantly click individually. And then I have to hit that down. I got feathers and sticks. And then I'll take the, let's see, the hammer, the first log, and I'll just leave it at this until I have the building complete, just so I'm not too heavy to move around. And I'll have to do this until it's complete. And that was the 4 logs that are provided by the standard maple trees here. And then you'll need enough for all of that. now I'll just go and try to get, let's see, get some more logs going. We get some more logs here. Now we got the well unlocked, so that's a nice water source to get water for the villagers. Sticks are fairly light. one more stick. And now I need straw, so that would be the reed here. That'll be the reed here. And you can just hold the E key to collect. And now I just need more logs. I feel like I will unequip that. I'll actually probably change that to 4. And then I'll have the bow at 3 now. I feel like there's a tendency to always hit the 3. D6 more straw. We'll get the 6 more straws over here from the reed. So we'll have the reed here. And now the simple small house is finally complete. And this is what we have here. And then I will put mine in here. So now I can deposit the logs here, the sticks, all of them, all of the stones, straw, maybe all the feathers, since I will actually... I'll cancel that since I will need them for when I hunt. And let's see. Don't need this at the moment. And then I'll keep those just in case. Daisy, dandelion, barley, plantain is good just to get a little bit of healing back, but otherwise better using the potions. And let's see here. I think I will take the bucket out for a minute. The stone axes I'll take out. I don't need that anymore. I'll keep these. Copper shovel, copper hammer. So these, all the copper stuff I will keep on my person. The, let's see, other things I have here, like all the dried meat, I'll probably take off. And as for the rest, since a lot of these actually last quite a while, so I will keep these on me. Everything else will stay in here. And some of this food I'll also have to provide to the first set of settlers. So now that I'm at a more comfortable 19.99 out of 35, I can now sprint fairly quickly. And I can go and actually get the next house built up. Take a quick drink here. And then I will have a bite to eat. So that would be the roasted meat here. I'll probably take the apples out as well, just until I get a kitchen, because the apples can be cooked in recipes rather than just eating them, since they only grow and can only be harvested in summer. So I'd have to probably be growing them in spring, and then I can collect them in summer. Which means they also cannot be harvested in fall or winter. So you only have the one season you can harvest all the apples. And then we have the meat that I have here. It's just raw meat. I'll get the meat roasted right now. And that will be the food that I have for the moment right there. I will go and build the next house up. And I'll have to gather some more of the necessary logs here, but now I can get some more all in one go. Now that my inventory is freed up for the most part, I can actually carry a little bit more weight now. It can be a bit more efficient here. Unless I really wanted to just run all the way back to Piastovia just to pick my stuff up. What? I didn't know you can actually get knocked down by the tree too. That never happened. But it did injure me, so I did get hurt a little bit from that. And to maximize the experience there, now I can get 5% more. So I'll just take that. I can level up faster, that'll give me the perks faster. I got a resource storage one, which I will also get built up. They got the spruce tree here. I just need the straw for the most part. Straw and just lots of straw. And then I'll actually run all the way back to Piastovia, where I'll just get the reeds there without really having to worry about losing the general aesthetic around our settlement. I don't know if they regrow. But I'll collect as many as I can, as I will need them for the other builds, which is why usually at the beginning when building any new settlement, the reeds, like building around the reeds, will be very important, especially. And then of course there's always going to be an abundance of sticks for a while, and then logs. And we can find the reeds along the water's edge. And here I'll collect as many of the reeds as I can. Then I go to the survival skills there, which I increased just from salvaging salvaging the reed there. So I'll always go for more survival knowledge in this case, so I can get the better skills later on. And I think, let's see, I'll get to around 250 and then I'll call it. There we go. Now we can head back to our settlement here. Now just skin the rabbit. And you get 2 fur, 2 meat from the rabbit there. And now their house is done. I have the 219 left. So I have about 219 left, and it's actually pretty good. And now, let's see, put the fur away. And straw away. I am about 5 kilograms away from max capacity on this, and then I can no longer store anything here. That's why when I have the resource storage facility there, I'll be able to put some of the non-consumable resources there as well. And it has way more capacity. I think it was like around 1,200 kilograms. I'll get some of the dried meat eaten up. And I'll eat the 1 chicory. Which then gives me a slight boost to satiation. So I pretty much just stay fuller longer, and hunger is reduced for a while. Like the rate of hunger is reduced for a duration of time by a certain percentage. And then here I'll have the woodshed right here. I'll have the well built right here. So I do need to get rid of this tree here. So I'll build the well first. It's fairly simple and straightforward to make. And sometimes the tree falling like that can actually damage your houses. Structures. And then I need a shovel to uproot the stump, you get an additional log from there. And now I am free to build a well here. Get our trusty hammer in hand. And then for the buildings, it was in, let's see, extraction. So we have the well. It requires 10 logs, 16 straw. I can place, let's see if I can place the well here. Somewhere in between both houses. Right about here, maybe. Looks fairly nice. Look at the logs built up. Now I need 3 more logs. Only got 2. I think I needed some straw. Or sticks. The sticks or straws? Was a log. And then it was only the log. So now I just simply need 1 more log. I'll just cut a birch tree down, get the 2 logs. I actually do need 1 more log, so I'll do another birch tree. And now the well is complete. So now it's just a good way of getting some water you can drink. Or crafting, you can just fill a water skin with water or buckets, which will be useful for keeping your settlers well hydrated, as well as just for filling your wash bins, so in the laundry section, so you can wash yourself. Since the water around here is actually too shallow, otherwise I just have to run to Piastovia, which is the next closest area, and you just wash yourself in the lake whenever you're there, whenever needed. And then I will see skills here. I can see what I need here. Stick stones, mushrooms, feathers, herbs, and inspector mode is very useful, so I will actually just increase that level. So now I hit left, and now you can literally just see all the useful resources around there. And that's very useful, especially when trying to build. And now I will try to free up some, try to collect what I can in the general area so I can get the woodshed built. Without losing any of the precious resources in the area. Make sure I have all of them picked up before I build the woodshed. Otherwise, all the resources placed here will be lost. So lots of berries would be good to do during spring, so I could turn them into fertilizer. for farming later. Then I will see if I have the... I'll see if I have the woodshed here. So woodshed 1. I need just a little bit more, so maybe the... Let's see, was it a production building? Not a workshop, wasn't that? I think it was survival, not survival, farming. Let's see, storage. So resource storage 1 I can place down. Need sticks, logs, stones, and straw. And then woodshed was right here. And then right about here, I had the... Had it about here. And now I need to get more stone for the foundation here. And now I need the log resources. I need about, let's see, get the logs going here. I should probably be able to take another 4 logs, perhaps. And if you miss the log, especially like this, you can see log as it is labeled. So it does really well there. And now I will get this over here. I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Seven, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So quite a bit of logs right now, but it is actually worth it. I probably need to go and pick up another copper axe for that. Oh no, my axe broke. So now I have to go and get one of the stone axes now. Now I have the woodshed unlocked now. It says you are carrying too much, but that really just means you're going to pay more money to the wagoneer, and maybe it'll make your donkey/horse move slower, unless you have like better saddlebags for the donkey or horse, and then you also sprint a little slower. But since I'm here close to where I'm building, it's actually okay. Because there are consumables that are available in the game to increase carrying capacity by weight. At least another maple tree worth. I just need to get my stick resources. I'll take the stone as well. Only because I'll be building the woodshed very soon, now that that is unlocked. And now resource storage is complete. And now I can actually place non-consumable resources in here. And it's actually a capacity of 1,000. Which is fairly generous, I would say, especially when building. And they are shared. So it's like the more you have of the same build, they share them. So I feel like maybe it's better to just have one, and the only other reason you'd want another one, like let's say at the other side of your settlement, is just so you have access, or like remote access, I suppose, to the items that you have. Otherwise you have to go to the storage in question just to get your equipment or anything you're trying to look for a more immersive and realistic gameplay there. And then we'll see if I can get the... Since it produces planks, but it's actually in extraction. So here is the Woodshed 1 here. And... I want to see if I can build it. Or actually, I think I wanted a road between it. But maybe not where the bushes are at, because many of them grow the blueberries. And I'll get rid of it anyway. But just for now, I'll get it built here in this general area. I need 3 more logs, which I should be able to get with just 1 more spruce or maple tree here. A couple of spruce trees. But the amount of cutting and axe durability that would be lost, so it's probably more than likely better to wait until I get the... Well, I can go up. Let's see, I can go up. Maybe I'll just get the spruce trees after all. take 7 hits with the stone axe. And then 2 more hits to make it logs. Just for the yield of 2, so that's just a half yield. And the axe broke. Need 1 more log. I need to get 1 more stone axe. Oh, did I take all the stone axes with me? Wait, I only had 1. Or I guess the rest I left back at Piastovia, so either I craft myself one, or which is probably the quickest thing to do. I'll just do that right now. And as you can see, realistically, I'm dirty right there. He's just been working through the night, running around. Now the Woodshed I is complete, and as you can see, you can craft the planks needed for various resources and builds, and then 1 log for 4 firewood. So it's a type of heating material crafted in the woodshed from a log using carpenter's rack, and used for crafting campfires and keeping the villagers warm, meaning it says you get 100 durability and 5 wood, so you get +5 wood for your cellars, which I feel might be a more efficient use when you give it to them to keep warm. It's better than just giving them a log. I feel like the logs just get wasted. And since pretty much all of the other building materials are going to be used for the villagers, I will take the stone and the straw. All of these I'll just probably leave there as well, since I don't really need them at the moment. I'll keep the fur for me. And then let's see, the logs, maple seedling, spruce bark, the sticks, stones, all of the straw, spruce seedling. Keep the feathers for me for the task, and then the log I will leave at the woodshed here. And it shows that I have 1. If I go here, I can make firewood or planks towards improving the builds. But firewood right now is the most important. And so it says I have none in my bag, 1 in the storage chest here. So they can build directly from the materials stored in the storage. And a type of heating material. So again, it's crafted here from a log using carpenter's rack. Can be used for crafting campfires and keeping the villagers warm. So we can test that. And then I will keep the firewood for the time being. And let's see, it goes in my inventory. And then I will give them the, well, for demonstrative purposes, I will keep the materials separate. And then when I go and get into the part 2, I will demonstrate the settlers. So this will probably be the conclusion of part 1, where I utilize the first 2 days and up to about 10:56 in the morning of day 3 out of 7. So this would have already, this would be the last day of the season by default. And yeah, you can see how long it would take just to gather resources just for trying to build up your settlement. So it would actually take numerous seasons to actually get built up. Maybe numerous years in game by default. So I took 7 days just to get settled, and then to get the settlers to our settlement here, and then to get some quests done, as well as having ample time to finish any of the quests required by the, well, they're not necessarily required, but they are optional, but very useful for getting the dynasty rep up in order to have more settlers and have more buildings in our settlement, and just to have better rapport with the king through his herald. And here's just the swamp area. This is the hostile, like, tough crossbowmen mobs over there. So they are the tough crossbowmen. That's just the name of the mob. And then somewhere along some of the forked roads leading to Piastovia, there were some of those narrow paths that are surrounded by ridges on both sides, and usually you will find hostile, like, weak cutthroats / raiders there, and they just raid whoever come across their path. Usually there'd be a group of 3, so one will come after you, one is an archer, and another guy it seemed like he was just scouting the area. He was just like walking along the top of the ridge, but not doing anything. And the archer will support the weak cutthroat from a distance. And he can actually kind of shoot quite far. So that's like another one of those things to watch out for. Aside from any of the aggressive animals that can pretty much just 2-shot you. At least with the default armor values that we have here, we got nothing. So just with what we have, yeah, it doesn't take very much. But now I will go and get some food to eat, some water to eat, get cleaned up. And then I'll get some water to drink.
I'm parched.
Yeah, he's parched, so he'll drink. And then to find where the laundry is at, it's actually in... Let's see, it's actually in... I want to say... Let's see, where was it again? So it's in furniture and decoration. So you hit the Q menu, the Q for the creation menu, then the furniture and decorations, and it should be as a workstation. So you'll have laundry workstations, and then I just need the 6 planks, and then I can build a wash tub. So now I just need... Let's see, three logs for the planks. So I have the... I just need to have 6 let's see, to be sure. It is 1 log per 2 planks. I need 6 planks, so I need about 3 logs. And I'll go and actually collect those first before the end of this part, so we can demonstrate the wash tub. And I just have to crack it 3 times. And now I can build the wash tub, which I want to build here. I will build it around here. And then I do plan on having a, like, you know, the clotheslines right here would be pretty nice. I can build it right here. And now it just needs to be filled with a bucket of water. And then let's see, can I craft buckets? Well, I think I need a workstation to do it. As you can see, you can't build them in hand. It requires the technology to do so. Oh, I did have the 2 axes here. And then I had the 1 bucket. And I could actually get it from here. Well, I will drink. I'll craft a bucket of water. I can fill it. Then I leveled up extraction. So I can go to skills. I go here to the extraction. And I'll always just go for the extraction knowledge. I always go for the experience building first. So it just helps me get the perk points faster and a bit earlier, which is always nice. And I usually do that 2 or 3 times before I go and get any of the other perks, unless they are actually extremely useful for me at the current time. And I fill this 1 more time. Now it's full. I can take a bath. And let's see. As you can see, my character is really dirty here. He's really grungy. Clothes are dirty, hands are dirty, face is dirty. Let's take the bath. Well, actually, let's face it. Well, actually, I wonder if I can do this. No, I just face the opposite way. But anyway, it'd be something like that. So you can take the bath. And also being that dirty, or if you have like 80% alcohol percent, then people don't want to talk to you. So it's always nice to actually stay clean as well as sober as well, so people will talk to you. And the sobriety will restore over time, or you also have a kind of potion of sobriety, and you can become, it'll reduce the toxicity level at that point. Some of them I think it was like even by 100%, so it basically helps the entire bar. And here it still says it's 30 out of 30. I don't know if it dirties over time, but right now it's actually pretty good. And so with that, I will end the part here. And I will get the settlers ready to go at the beginning of the next part. And again, as always, thank you for watching and take care.